Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Super Anime Bros podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rosario, joined by my brother, Angelo, and today we're going to talk about something we love.
Hey, everybody, thanks for being here. So today we're going to begin a little series here, counting down our top 50 favorite anime of all time.
Let's go.
Starting with number 50 to 41, so our first 10.
Yes, sir. Very exciting. I think this is something that we planned on doing when we were first talking about starting the podcast. This is definitely one we were looking forward to. And I'm really stoked to get into it, to really share our thoughts and feelings with everybody. I personally really love making lists and counting down and ranking. I don't know if you would agree with that or not, but this is always a super fun thing for me to do. And this list, or these lists, plural, both of us are going to count down here, have evolved somewhat over time. I remember when we first started doing this, it was in the Notes app, if you recall.
Yeah, we used to just do it like that.
Yeah,
We've upgraded
for sure
to Google Slides.
Yes,
so
thank
now
you,
we can
Google
have
Slides.
pictures and transitions.
Yes, sir.
So it's a little fancier now.
Yeah, we've come a long way. Come a long way from the days of the Notes app, to a full-on presentation. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And generally, we'll just share this with each other. But, now we have the platform to share it with all of you. So before we get into it, I think both of us are going to quickly break down how we rank our favorites. I think we have two different outlooks, we came to discover as we were discussing this. But really just how we're breaking down what's our favorite. And, when you're thinking about the ranking, what's some of the criteria that comes to mind. And for myself, some of the first things that come to mind are the meaningfulness of the show, just how much it resonates with me, what it means to me in the moment, and how much sticks with me afterward. Of course, general entertainment. You're watching something to fill the time in life, and boy, do you want to be entertained. So obviously entertainment plays a big role there. I think compelling characters are something that really can set a show apart for me, whether it be someone that I can really relate to or just somebody that I find extremely fascinating in their motivations, their ideals, stuff like that. I think a unique premise can always help a show stand out. Something that's really creative, something that I haven't seen before, I think will just naturally help it stand out in my brain. And then the final one, which I wrote down, I think we can both agree with this, recency bias plays a huge role when it comes to making this list. It's really whatever's hot at the moment. I think that if we're watching something and we throw it right on the list, a lot of times we'll put it real high. If it's something we just binged season after season of, I think it's going to debut high and then could fall back at a later date. But I think just naturally, people are going to look more fondly on something that's more recent in their brain. But do you want to talk about your criteria before we get started?
So honestly, after hearing yours, mine I don't think is that different.
Okay.
I just don't think about it individually. What I wrote down was how I find my shows is feeling and rewatchability.
Rewatchability is a good one.
Rewatchability is an important one to me. It always has been because I love to rewatch something and get to enjoy it again. I've never been someone to watch a TV show, watch a movie, play a game, and only do it once if it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But as far as how I go with feeling, I think a lot of that is similar to yours, like how much it means to me and how much it entertains me. Like if a show can make me laugh a lot, make me cry, it's obviously going to be higher on my list. It can make me feel things.
Yeah.
So that definitely plays a role into it. And as far as you said, compelling characters, I do obviously like a show with characters I can relate to. That definitely helps me enjoy it more.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I think I'm not that different. It's just I don't think I think about it as critically as you do.
Gotcha.
I think I just follow my heart, and that's where my heart gets the criteria.
I can certainly respect that, my brother. I won't lie with you there. Yeah, dude, I mean, this is going to be a pretty colossal undertaking here.
Yes, it is.
I'm super stoked to get into it. So, do you want to start us off with?
I'll
your
start us
number
off.
50?
My number 50 is The Devil is a Part-Timer.
All right.
So we'll give like a brief kind of overview, very brief overview of the plot, because we don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's potentially almost 100 shows here we're going to talk about. We don't want to ruin
without a doubt.
all of them for everybody.
I'm looking ahead at the notes here, and I now see this, what you write down. We'll get to it later. But
Yeah, we will.
that's very funny.
So Devil's a part-timer. The devil, he decides to come to Earth, and he gets a job working at McDonald's, but in their world it's called a McRonald's.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a comedy show. Some aspects of like action and some kind of like romance aspects too.
Very nice.
But I really watch that because it's a funny group of characters, and I think it's actually a more unique concept, and I find it very entertaining.
Yeah.
And
Kind
it's
of
one of those
a
shows.
reverse isekai.
Yeah, it makes me laugh, and that's what gets it to the place it's at.
Yeah, very cool. My number 50, coming in hot, is Domestic Girlfriend. You ever watch a show just because the opening is so fire? That's this show. Never could have imagined getting into this. It would be what it was. I mean, obviously, I maybe heard a little bit about what it's about, read the synopsis before watching it. But boy, is it a mess.
Yes.
You know, there's some lovers turned step siblings, some student crushing on teacher fantasy stuff that may or may not come to fruition. Who's to say? I feel like I'm stealing your thunder and saying this next thing, but I'm going to say it anyway. And you can agree with it, you know, should you talk about the show. But it is very much like a car crash. You can't look away, even though, you know, what's unfolding in front of your eyes is not the greatest thing you've ever seen. It's just some innate human feeling. You're just going to keep watching it. So I get some guilty pleasure out of watching. I think calling it a guilty pleasure is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, that's my number 50, Domestic Girlfriend.
Okay.
Banger opening.
Yes. Moving into my number 49, and I'm sure this is going to offend some people,
brother.
is Dragon Ball Z.
Great.
So, if you listen to our first episode, you know how I started watching anime. It was watching Dragon Ball Z abridged, but really the first anime I watched was Super. I love Super. You're going to see Super later, closer to number 1, but Z is just something that I don't have as much of an emotional connection to.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
I watched a lot of it. Well, not a lot, I guess. I watched up until right before the Frieza Goku fight. Because I know we watched some together. I watched more by myself.
Yeah, so it's probably the whole Saiyan saga.
Yeah, past the whole Saiyan saga. And I think that's great to get some of that history there going into Super. But
Yeah.
I've just been too scared to start, like, the really long fight with Frieza. And then the really long fight with Cell. And then the really long fight with Bill. And I've also seen the Saiyaman arc. So I've seen right before Boo.
Great arc.
I've seen bits and pieces.
I love that arc so much. So stupid, but so
and
funny.
I mean, I always like Frieza as a villain, and he is a villain again in Super. So the only one I really feel like I'm missing out on is Cell.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's where Dragon Ball Z is. If I ever finish it and get to watch more, I think it'll go higher. It's just I have not been able to will myself into doing it as of now.
Understandably so. I think the Cell Saga is probably the best and is my favorite. We'll hear about it later. But yeah, dude. I mean, I can understand. I'm happy to see it on your list at all. To be honest.
Yeah, you got to put some respect on it. It's Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, sir. So my number 49 is called Our Dating Story: The Experienced You and the Inexperienced Me. So basic romance. Two schoolmates. I thought that maybe it was a little shallow at first. It's the shy kid asks out the popular girl, says yes. Wow, crazy. You know, whoever would have expected that. But it adds a lot of depth along the way. There's some decent drama, so maybe some miscommunication drama that could be avoided, but that's any show. I was surprised by it. I think it's better than I expected. It was cute, funny in some parts. Definitely a fun romance, and you know that ranks it higher than a few of the other ones I've seen. I'll be honest, as we're starting this list, I think my total list is at like 62 anime, so these are definitely lower on my total totem pole. or I guess higher on a totem pole if we're using that analogy. Anyway, yeah, this one's more deep than I thought it was going to be, so I did like it because of that.
Fair enough. And I know my list is a little longer, so I guess these shows are a little higher for me.
Yeah,
'Cause
relatively.
I think my list is up to like almost 90. So they're like close to halfway.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on. My number 48 is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Boo.
Which it's a show that, spoiler alert, my brother here really likes, so you're going to hear more about it later. And I don't think I would do it a ton of justice. I did take some notes.
Yeah, you sure did.
My
You wanna
note
read
was
them out?
just slamming my hand on the keyboard.
HED3BCIUEGB.
Now, if you watch the show,
HG3EBRCI.
it'll make sense.
43BC.
All right, you can stop now.
I was so close.
But if you watch the show, that'll make sense. It is definitely a very compelling show, and I can understand why some people love it as much as they do. It's just it did not stick with me as much as a lot of other people. But I would always watch it again. I think it's very good.
All right.
That's the best justice I can do for it right now.
I'll take that. I'm cool with that. So my number 48 is called A Sign of Affection. More recent show that we watched. It was a super cute shoujo show, and I think this is something we've talked about a little bit off air about shoujo. Is that when you're getting the girl's perspective rather than the guys, and then you're seeing the guy. The guys are generally less dense and less dopey.
Yeah, they're not absolutely stupid in shoujo
and that definitely,
romances.
I think, helps with some of the watch through. There's definitely some shows where the guy is just so dense and stupid that it's frustrating to watch, especially if you're trying to put yourself in his shoes.
We'll talk about some of those later.
For sure, without a doubt. But this was a really cool show. It's really about sharing each other's world and getting to learn from each other. It's about a deaf girl and a guy that she meets, and maybe a relationship ensues from there. But I think they can both learn a lot from each other, and that's really cool to see. Kind of trying to see the world through each other's eyes when you have such a different perspective was really enjoyable. And it was just one season. So I think there's going to be a lot more. I mean, I know there's plenty more manga. So hopefully it'll be something that comes back and, we can explore further. I'm sure it would move up the list the more we get to see of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so number 47. My number 47 is My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999.
Let's go.
So this show is about a young lady. She's in college, Akane, and she gets dumped by her boyfriend.
Boo. What a loser.
And she starts playing this game and gets into like the guild in the game. So it's like a group of people she plays with, and she goes to some event for the game, and at the event for the game, right after she runs into her ex-boyfriend, she meets Yamada, and she promises him like some special card she had, or like a power up in the game if he would pretend to be.
Remember. That's funny.
Yeah, that's because that's why he pretends to be her boyfriend. So her ex gets jealous, and then it gets silly from there. But it's a very cute romance.
Did you say that Yamada-kun's like the top player?
Yeah, I mean, is it really that important to the plot?
I think it's huge.
He cares a lot about the game, but he's very, very good. He like streams. He's pretty much as famous as you can be as a gamer, and he's very good at this game that they play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I like the show a lot. You'll probably hear it again maybe at some point.
Maybe. No spoilers, though. Yeah, it's a great show. Great cast of characters. And it's something that will make you laugh, but it also is a cute romance. And it's one of these shows where the guy is not a complete idiot.
Yeah, he's pretty
So that's
sick.
it's always a nice change of pace.
He is pretty cool. So my number 47 is Darling in the Franxx. This was a very, very interesting show. I guess I could describe it as romance. I think as a main overarching plot device, genre, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you could say that, or like sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yeah. It's
like a sci-fi romance.
Certainly in a mech setting. It was pretty interesting. I mean, there's definitely a lot of mysteries to unravel along the way. I think it missed the landing with the ending. You can find that out for yourself. But it certainly was fun along the way. Some pretty iconic characters with Zero too, obviously.
Yeah.
Does it maybe rip off some other shows a little bit?
I like to say it takes inspiration from. It definitely takes a lot of inspiration from Neon Genesis.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, with you as an avid lover of that show, I would have thought you would like Darling in the Franxx a little more, but
yeah.
maybe not.
I don't know. It was like Walmart brand Ava, but that's fine.
Well,
Walmart
you're going to be
brand's
upset
not
when
so
I
bad.
see that
That's
you
fine.
see I have this higher than Ava on
No,
my
that's
list.
No, we definitely disagree on it a little bit, and that's sort of cool. Everybody's got their own tastes. Yeah, I mean, I think I did enjoy it. It definitely, has a lot of drama, which helps drive interest. But yeah, I think overall, the ending for me sours it overall. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair
Everybody's
enough.
got one,
You're
baby.
entitled to that.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so moving on here, number 46, I Have Domestic Girlfriend.
Wow, I've
which
never heard of that
We just
one.
talked about. It's the one that he said is like a car crash.
Yeah.
It's it's like an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of crazy developments with this romance. And just to add to your car crash analogy, it is like a car crash. You can't look away. But it's also one of those shows where, like, you ever be, like, in line waiting for people and there's traffic because of the car crash? And you're like, why are you guys all looking at this? Just go. But when it's your turn to pass it, you immediately look over there,
course.
too.
That's
It's one of
great.
those shows. So I don't care what other people say. They'll be like, oh, this show's weird. It sucks. It was a little odd. But this show sucks. But once you watch it, you will not be able to look away. So
Yeah, I think that was a great way to put it.
yeah, that's how I wanted to add to your car
That
crash
was a great
thing.
way to put it. Thank you for.
And that's one of the
adding
shows
to
I've
it.
actually
Improving.
gotten hooked into reading ahead in the manga.
Yeah,
The one
that's
night I
good.
stayed
feel
up
like
for,
that
like,
is pretty
a
rare
couple
for
hours.
me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's rare. The one night we lost internet. No, we didn't. We lost. What did we
Power?
lose? No, because I needed the internet. Yeah, we lost
don't know.
power or something.
Well, you don't have internet without the power.
Oh, you know what? The internet was the Wi-Fi was down, and I just used my phone.
Okay.
And I read like it for 2 hours long after the Wi-Fi came on. I'm just like,
Darn.
wow, it hooks you in.
Yeah,
It
it's
really
pretty
does.
wicked.
It's one of those shows.
It's pretty wicked. Yeah,
But it's definitely a little trashy,
Yeah.
but I think it's very entertaining.
All right. I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of that, obviously. All right. Moving on to my number 46. Echoing what you said about Ava, I know that this is one of your favorite shows, and I've definitely got it pretty high up here on the list. So, I can't do it as much justice as you can. But my number 46 is Assassination Classroom. I think it was a pretty funny show. Definitely has a lot of emotion, especially as you get deeper into it. A lot of cool characters. You have a class full of people, and I think it does a good job introducing each of them and giving them all a little bit of depth. I think most times in a school setting, you'll get to know 6 or 7 people pretty deep, and then the rest of them not really at all. So it's cool to see that a lot of characters. Other than that, I mean, the emotional hook definitely resonates with me. But as I would say with many shows on this list, and it goes hand in hand with what I was saying about recency bias, I think this show would benefit from a rewatch for me. I definitely think that if I watched it again, it would end up higher on the list. I think we watched this pretty early on, to be honest.
Yeah, because it was one of my original favorites. So
Like, it has been a long time for me.
yeah,
So,
a couple of years.
Yeah. So I do think maybe, I don't know, maybe it just missed the mark for me at the time and I would like it better now. I don't know. But overall, I mean, enough to rank in my top 50, enough that I have some of the manga collected. So I'm sure we'll hear about
Yeah, you
it.
put some respect
I'm
on
sure
it.
we'll
but
hear about it way later. So
I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Moving on here is number 45. And for my number 45, I have Remake Our Life. And this one is about a guy named Kyoya.
Kyoya.
And he has an opportunity to go back in his life when he's high school age and make some different decisions. And he pursues art school. So It's a really good story. Unfortunately, the anime didn't get finished, and I don't know if it even will.
Boys have
And it's a light novel, not a manga that it's based off of, so it's kind of harder to read. And I don't really like reading light novels.
Reading's so hard without the pictures.
I don't like reading light novels on the phone. I don't really love reading manga on the phone. I always prefer paper, but it's really hard to do for a light novel. But one of these days I'll get bored and I'll do it. And I honestly do think this would be a top tier show for me, at least top 25 if I knew how it ended.
Yeah.
It was just something I related to a lot. Obviously, most people have things they regret doing and wish they could sometimes go back and change it.
Yeah,
I also think that's great that he can go back and kind of chase his dreams.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely relatable, and I'm sure a lot of people out there would love to go back and really pursue what they would want to rather than something that might be safe or easier. So I think it has a really good story there, and I think that's a great kind of overarching tone there.
For sure. And yeah, no, dude, I think that's a really pretty cool premise. And I do agree that it definitely has a pretty broad appeal, with a lot of people who could probably relate to that. Number 45 for me is the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. Pretty wild show here. I think the title kind of explains what's going to go down. One man, 100 girlfriends, has to make them fall in love with him or else. We'll leave it at that. The gods of love are in play and made a mistake, yada, yada.
Happy mistake.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. But I wrote down here, a man with unlimited love to give. Pretty crazy to see, and obviously, well, not obviously if you haven't seen it, but through season 1, he does not have 100 girlfriends. That's something he's going to build up to.
Yes.
But, as it'll be a harem 20 times the size of the majority of them. It's interesting to see a guy be able to, I would say, equally love each of the girls, which is like a crazy thing to even say. I'm laughing at myself saying it. But I do think that's the goal that they're going for. And they've executed it thus far. It's been pretty funny, fun romance. And with 100 girlfriends, I think there's going to be an archetype anime girlfriend for everybody. So I do think it'll be a little bit of a waifu wars kind of thing, which is pretty funny. I know that this is another one that you've read ahead in, and I'm sure we'll hear about it later. I don't think today.
No, not today.
Or maybe not at all. Who's to say? No spoilers.
I don't know. No spoilers.
But yeah, I think that this was a newer anime. Confirmed that it's getting another season. This could be one that we're talking about for a little while here. It's just so crazy of a premise, but it's been executed very well thus far, and it's I think funny and wholesome enough that it'll stand the test of time for us here.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on here, my number 44 is our love story, the inexperienced you or the experienced you and the inexperienced me.
It's hard to read, isn't it?
Yeah, I usually just call it our dating story. That's and funny. That one, obviously, we did hear about.
No, I've never heard of that.
We just heard of it a couple minutes ago. And really what my brother said stands true for me. It is a show that originally I thought was just kind of cute, but it did gain more depth as it went on. And I think it was a nice take on the relationship because most romance anime, it always starts off with a couple and they're going to get together, or you think they are, and really the whole show is that developing, and usually the ending is them getting together. This was a show where they start dating in the first episode, which that's not a spoiler. It happens like 15 minutes in.
Spoilers.
And that's more of a show where it shows, hey, are they going to stand the test of time? Yeah. And I think that's a nice take on romance. You do see some other shows like it, but it's not that common, so I think it's a nice change of pace.
All right, good stuff. My number 44 is a show called Aowashi. It's a show about soccer or football, depending on who you are. I describe this as a hidden gem in a genre I overlook. So I think both of us, or neither of us rather, really watch a lot of sports anime. There's certainly a good bit out there to choose from. Just not really a genre that I personally watch a whole lot. I do actually really like sports, so it's almost interesting to me that this is not something I've touched a whole lot of. But for one of the few, or maybe even only sports show that I've really given a lot of a chance to, I really enjoyed it. And I think that it's not quite as popular as some of the other ones out there. When I think of soccer in general, this came out just before Blue Lock, and then Blue Lock exploded, and you don't hear of Awashi. I think this show had a really fun balance of elements, from comedy to a little bit of romance to just the sport in general, to some, like, I would say, action. Yeah, it was cool. I think there's just something that really resonates with me, seeing the inner workings of a team, seeing them build chemistry, seeing them fight with each other, seeing them go out there and give their all with each other. I think is really cool. And, having been someone who played some sports growing up, kind of brings you back to that feeling. So, something I've really enjoyed about it.
All right. Moving on, number 43.
43.
My teen romantic comedy snafu.
Okay.
And this is actually a pretty popular romance.
Yeah.
And another thing that this show has going for it is it has a complete animated series.
Yeah.
Like, it's done.
Yeah.
You can watch it beginning to end, and I think that definitely does help me on the list, because a good ending can make a break or show.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like you said about Darling and the Franks.
Yeah.
So I think that has a benefit there. But it's a really good show. It's not super different than most romance anime, but it does have a very relatable protagonist in the sense that Hikigaya is not a very social guy. Mm-hmm. He's more of an introvert.
Yeah,
and he's kind of like miserable.
Yeah.
He's sarcastic.
Life's tough, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not exactly an optimist. He's definitely pessimistic and sarcastic, but it's nice to see him break out of his shell and really try to live his high school years to the fullest and see what girl he's going to end up with. Because, spoiler alert, there's more than one.
Wow, that's crazy.
Potential love interest. I feel like that's very common now, though. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's what I have to say about it right now. It's something I know you haven't watched.
Yeah.
I think eventually we'll watch it
I'm sure
together, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy it.
Probably.
It is definitely a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about it.
Very cool. I couldn't get out of my head after you were saying optimist and pessimist. I wanted to say pessimist prime, like a play on Optimus Prime.
Yeah, like that. That works.
I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, my number 43 is called Temperu. No One Can Live on Loneliness. It's about a guy who is trying to get away from the shadow of his father, who's a very lustful man. And this guy has decided that worldly desires and pleasures are a root of evil. And so because of that, he's going to live a celibate life and go to live at a shrine. Just so happens the shrine he ends up with is all women. And, his newfound resolve is going to be tested. We'll say that. It was really, really funny. I think that was the main thing I got out of it was just comedy. That was definitely at the forefront. Made me laugh consistently. Some pretty fun, characters, the main guy, and then a couple of sisters that may or may not be interested in him. Who's to say? I guess we'll find out at a later date. Another female, actually, who's kind of decided the same thing as him, that she's going to give up on any sort of lust or worldly desires. So they're going to do that together, and that's, hard to do for both of them. Certainly can be a little over the top in some fun situations that the protagonist gets thrown into.
I would say a little more than a little over the top.
It can be a lot of over the top. But, that can only knock it down so far.
It's one of its quirks.
It's true.
If it's knock it down, it brings it up.
Well, it depends on who you are. But yeah, it's a show that we discovered over the last year and a half. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whenever
it came out.
Time's crazy. Something we've only seen one season of. Maybe it'll come back, maybe not. If not, it was a fun ride while we had it. So that's my number 43.
All right, so moving on to number 42. Mine is Real Life. And it's kind of similar to Remake Our Life, where a young man, well, I guess he's not even that young, A 20, I think he's 6 or 7.
He's 29, I thought.
29? Oof. Almost pushing 30-year-old guy has the opportunity to go back to high school for an experiment that he has no idea what the end game is, but he gets to go back and kind of make up for some mistakes he made and some decisions he made. But this show, unlike Remake Our Life, does have the benefit of an ending,
Yes.
an animated ending.
Yes.
So that definitely helps it.
For some reason, the sound quality of the last couple episodes is horrendous. I'll put that out
At least
there.
in the dub. I don't know how the sub
That's
is.
fair. That's fair.
So maybe you want to watch it subbed at the end or the whole time.
Maybe
It's
they're
up to
both
you.
I
To each
don't
their own. We're not going to get into that topic right now. I'm sure that'll be a future episode.
For sure.
I think both are good. If you're watching anime, you're awesome.
Heck yeah.
That's what
I love
say.
that.
But
Good.
Real Life's good. I think it's a little better than Remake Our Life.
I agree.
And
seen
there is...
Remake Our Life.
You've seen... I think you saw the first episode.
That's fair.
It has some good elements of comedy and good elements of romance. A lot of the comedy elements are from the fact that when he gets to go back, he looks younger. His body is still 29, so he has to like do gym class and all these other things, but he's in the body of like a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think that's very funny.
I agree. Yeah, I enjoy that one too. We may or may not hear from it later. So my number 42 is called The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. Very cute little romance show. Another one that we've only seen one season of, just came out fairly recently, I would say in the last year and a half as well. About a guy who sits in the back of the class. Girl sits next to him. He likes her. She always forgets her glasses to school. She can't see without her glasses. Classic Velma situation, you know. Can't see without my glasses. But yeah, it's really cute. With a younger romance like this, is kind of like, oh, you're their first love. Yeah, you know, so cute. I think it leads the protagonist to be a little more dense, like we were talking about dense protagonists. This guy is extremely dense.
I like to say he's innocent.
Yeah, I mean, that works too.
They're in
That
what,
works too.
like grade school?
I have no
don't
clue.
even know if they're in middle. They might be middle school.
Dude, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is innocence more than being dense. I think it's being dense. Because I think he understands his feelings. He's just, I don't know, can't read situations. But who can, to be honest. Anyway, something that I really take away from this show is the special feeling one can have when they're needed by somebody else. And I think our protagonist kind of feels that as he has to help out this girl he likes because she forgets her glasses. And, you know, he can assist her in any way he can. And, yeah, just having that feeling that you're making someone else's life better, someone else is relying on you. I just think it means so much in life. So it's pretty cool to see that, especially from a show like we're saying is like, you know, it's supposed to be like a younger first romance, but it actually deals with some deeper stuff like that and some real human emotion that I think anybody at any age can feel. So pretty good stuff. I have some of the manga of this. I don't know if it goes past where the anime is or not, to be honest. But something I definitely hope comes back. I really enjoyed it.
All right, and then my last pick for today, number 41, is Orange.
Ooh.
Another, actually very similar to some of the other shows on my list for today. A girl on her first day of high school receives a letter from herself in the future telling her to do certain things and not, so they can help their friend out and make up for some mistakes that they made.
Regret is...
They don't get to go back,
where's
unlike the other shows on this list.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really great show, and as far as the other romances on the list, this is definitely the most deep.
Yeah.
Just forewarning you,
Deep and heavy.
it is,
Heavy,
yes,
I think
it's
you
heavy.
put it.
Life is heavy.
Life is heavy.
It definitely is the heaviest one on this list thus far. So if you like something a little more dramatic and is going to probably make you feel more things, I think this is a good choice. And overall, I think it is a fantastic story, very well executed, with a lot of really great characters. There's definitely some comedy moments in there, because it really highlights a specific friend group. It's 3 guys and 3 girls, and the guys are always making me laugh.
Fun around.
Yeah, there's always some shenanigans. But I think definitely it's a drama first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then I'd say probably romance after that. But I think it's a great show.
I agree.
It's not something that I rewatch a lot just because it is heavy.
Yeah.
It's not something that's like as like lighthearted to watch like Konosuba.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a fantastic show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If I take anything away from some of the shows on your list, it is that regret is a pretty universal feeling, huh?
Yes, it is.
Some crazy stuff. I mean, I think it goes back to the reason that we get so involved in stories anyway, and it's to kind of break the monotony of life. So, very interesting. I love that show. We'll talk about it again later, maybe.
Spoilers.
All right, finally, my number 41, and closing off our list for today, I have My Dress-Up Darling. So, show came out probably 2, maybe even 3 years ago at this point. Jeez. We've only seen 1 season of it thus far. It's about a guy who, through what he does with his family, has the skills of sewing, and a girl who really wants to cosplay but sucks at sewing. So, they meet up and, can create some magic. Not every day you're seeing a show that's about sewing cosplay outfits together and any sort of romance that could maybe spark from that. But it's a really fun show. I think I really enjoy the characters, and especially getting to see the joy that the main girl feels through being able to cosplay and the beautiful outfits, the incredible outfits that the guy can create. Really cool to see such powerful, positive emotion. This is a show that I am hoping for more on. I actually did pick up some of the manga after, and I've since dropped it, to be honest. I read maybe 1 or 2 volumes after, and haven't read any more, just for lack of time, I think. Not that I don't like it, but I do hope to see more anime. I saw something the other day that was like, don't expect to see this before 2025. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Well, I mean, it's already halfway through 2024.
I guess that's fair.
I think that's, fairly obvious. A lot of shows are getting announced 2 seasons ahead before they start to air. So, if we're going to see it next year, that would be great. If not, who's to say? But yeah, that closes off today's list. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah, dude, I really enjoyed this. So I think next week for the episode, we are going to choose one of the shows that we each talked about here today and do a little bit more of a deep dive on it. So I think that will be something that will include spoilers. We'll lead off the episode with saying which shows we each chose to talk about so that you're aware and you're not going to get anything spoiled. But yeah, I'm really excited to be able to do that, to have the opportunity to dive a little deeper into one of these shows, and also to share more of these stories we love with you all.
All right. Now, do you know what show you're gonna pick?
If you know yours, I can figure out mine in 10 seconds.
Okay, because I think I know which one I'm gonna do.
Oh, then let the people have it now, dude.
All right. What I'm gonna do next week, I'm gonna talk more about Orange.
Okay.
It's not, like I said, not a super lighthearted show, but I think it's one that I would benefit from a deep dive and looking in deeper, maybe looking more at some of your criteria instead of just thinking, oh, this is where it belongs, because that's what my head tells me, or my heart. So I think that is going to definitely be something great to talk about.
Yeah. No, dude, I would completely agree. That's, let me look at that's definitely, I think, my favorite from your list today, other than Neon Genesis, but we'll hear about that way later. Let's see. I think I'll deep dive A Sign of Affection. That was the one I was talking about the romance between the guy and the girl who's deaf, and really learning from each other. I think that is a beautiful story. I think there's a lot I can get out of that, so I think that'll be my deep dive next week as well.
All right, great. Now I just have to rewatch Orange.
Sounds good. Yeah, you got a week.
I have a week. I can do that.
You can do it. We started a rewatch at one point, I think. But yeah, I mean, that's really all we have for today. So thanks for stopping by and listening to us, gab on about some of these shows that we really enjoy. And, we can't wait to bring you more next week.
All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. Take care.
Peace.